I think this is why setting goals is so important. Because when you set a goal, you immediately know whether or not you're on the path.
Am I maximizing my potential? Am I growing as much as I could? Am I contributing as much as I could? Am I fully in alignment?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we talked all about relationships and how to get to the next level of your relationship with the one and only Jamie Bronstein. Today, for episode number 592, we're going to ask you a question, simple yet profound. What would the best version of you do?
So today's episode is going to be a little bit about choices, and we're actually doing a meetup on choices tonight, so this is a great theme for the week.
Yes, it'll drop next Tuesday.
If you want to understand how to get to the next level of your life, you have to understand how to make better choices. I think the underlying theme of this episode, but also of life, is basically this. Right now, you have potential. And if you're out there listening right now, you could be more in shape than you are right now. You could be more in love than you are right now. You could, be more successful than you are right now. Those are all facts. The question is, are you making the choices that are in alignment with those potentialities? And if not, why not? And that's what this is about.
Speaking of making the choice, if you have not made the choice to sign up in Next Level Nation. By sign up, I mean just come to the group because there's nothing to sign up. Not only will he help you grow, but you'll get your name mentioned on the podcast. So shout out to the new members, Tony, Lila, Greg, Phyllis, Kevin part 2, Jeff, Karina, Phil, Michael, Melissa, and Jacqueline, and Tanya. Shout out to the new members in Next Level Nation. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, we don't have fans. We have family. So I had to set a timer real quick. So we were talking about standards, and we were talking about as your level of awareness increases, your responsibility to yourself then increases.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, okay, so I'll frame it quickly. I say this a lot. If I throw something into the trash and miss it, which I do because I'm a terrible basketball player, I will ask myself, what would the best version of Kevin do? And maybe you're out there. If you have space behind your trash can and you fire a paper towel and it goes behind, there's that moment of nobody's going to see it, and it doesn't matter because it's a paper towel. It's not like it's an Apple core. I ask myself, what would the best version of Kevin do? Because nobody else has to know, but Kevin knows. What would the best version of Kevin do? That is a question I try to ask myself often, but upon reflection today, while Alan was hammering me with questions, I realized that probably isn't something I've been asking a lot. There's a lot of ways you can get your awareness raised. I think this is why setting goals is so important. Because when you set a goal, you immediately know whether or not you're on the path.
Right.
It's immediate feedback of my awareness is now changed to what I want to accomplish. Now I have to use my responsibility to change my actions, my surroundings, and all of that stuff.
Right.
So if somebody's listening right now, how does that saying, what would the best version of me do? How does that affect them in this moment?
It will get you to make better choices. So, just like you said with the paper towel reference, everything is like that. If you are in an intimate relationship and you're head over heels in love with your partner, you have a choice to look at the opposite sex or not to. You have a choice to be monogamous. You have a choice to be grateful. You have a choice to... Everything you say, think, do, feel, and believe is a choice. It just doesn't feel like that because a lot of us are on autopilot. All of us right now can think back to a time when we were younger, teenagers. Teenagers do a lot of stupid things. I'm guilty of that for sure. And I do this often, but it brings the point home. Think about a decision that you made when you were 15, 16, or 17. Any decision. And you would never make that choice again. You just wouldn't. Why? Because you're now wiser, you're an adult, and you have higher awareness. And so if you don't know any better, it's not really possible to make a better choice. So for example, if you're out there right now and you're not investing money, you probably on some level are not aware of how much money you're leaving on the table by not investing money. And if I were to come and teach you finance, you would suddenly start shifting the way in which you behave with money because you now have an awareness. It doesn't mean it would happen overnight, but awareness is always the first step.
Well, and either the pain of not doing it or the promise of the pleasure of doing it isn't high enough or...
Right, but awareness would change that.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
What do you think?
It's interesting because I think it creates necessity. I think that's what it is. I think you can't be on... What's a good example? Okay. I don't know if this is going to land at all. This could be the biggest miss I've ever had in the 593 episodes we've done this. When you're driving down the street, you have those moments where you just like drive like 5 or 6 exits and you're just like, how the hell did I even get here?
Oh, for sure.
Would you do that if you were towing, a trailer filled with explosives? Probably not.
No.
You very rarely drift off when you have something that important. That's necessity.
I know.
There's just way more necessity.
Right.
You can't just go on through your drive because you have something behind you that is reliant upon you making the right decisions. I think that...
Great analogy.
I appreciate
Strong.
that. I appreciate that.
In other words, if you hit bumps and stuff, they might explode.
Yeah, you got to be
Right,
way
you gotta
more
be
careful.
way more careful,
You
yeah.
have to be way more conscious.
Yeah.
You're not even careful, conscious.
Yep.
And the reason I say is because I've driven trucks that have things on the back of them where if you take a turn too hard, you might tip that thing over.
Right.
It's like, look, that's a bad day.
You got to be more aware. You got to
bad day
check
at
the
the
weather.
office. Yeah.
And you got to, watch out for potholes
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
And I think, and again, I'm as guilty of this as anybody, going through the day, going through the week, going through the months back in the day, just unconsciously. That's why it was called hyperconscious.
Right.
Because for most of my life, I lived unconsciously, but I never had a reason not to.
And now you do?
And now I do. But if you're asking yourself, and this is a bold statement, this might be something that could change your life today. Genuinely. Everything you do, is this what the best version of me would do? Is this what the best parent version of me would do? Is this what the best business, the best healthy, the best patient version? If you asked yourself that question every single day throughout every single experience, I'm willing to bet your life would look a lot different. We did an episode recently. Is this helping me or hurting me?
Right.
Imagine you go to the grocery store and everybody wants to get that ice cream. Everybody does.
Right.
Right? Everybody. Is this helping me or is this hurting me?
Right.
If you say it's hurting me, then you have to have the discipline or the necessity or the courage to say no.
Right.
And that's on you at the end of the
But
day.
if you don't have any fitness goals, it's not hurting you as much.
Right.
If you have, think about the ice cream analogy. You go to the store and you see Ben & Jerry's, and we all love Ben & Jerry. I mean, let's be real. And it's 1,200 for one of those pints. And
1,200 calories is what Jeff's saying.
Yeah, and you're not just going to eat half the pint. Who does that?
Whole pints.
Yeah, right. Whole
pints
pints only. But you have a fitness show in 2 weeks. You're not going to buy that Ben & Jerry's.
Or you'll quit.
Or you'll quit the fitness show.
like
which
I did.
Kevin did.
And it was actually Ben & Jerry's too.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll do it. Ben & Jerry's has destroyed many a fitness
Yes,
journeys. They used to be a customer of mine back at Cognex. But anyways, so...
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this or listening to this, it's obvious that you want to get to the next level of your life. We can help you get there faster.
In 3 months from today, your life can look completely different. Here's how. Group coaching. Here's what you're going to get. So you're going to get bi-weekly calls with Kevin and myself. You're going to be on a team of 10 like-minded, growth-oriented individuals. You're also going to be in a WhatsApp chat with Kevin and I and the entire team, 24/7 access to chat. Also, you're going to get bi-weekly progress reports and peak performance tracking.
Guys, this is a great opportunity for those who can't afford one-on-one coaching with Alan and myself. We have helped dozens and dozens of people get to the next level at this point. Go to nextleveluniverse.com, click group coaching, or find the link in the show notes.
Talk to you soon. That's kind of what Kevin's talking about with the analogy of towing explosives behind your you have to be very careful of where you turn when you have high necessity. And this is why when beach seasons, I mean, dude, the gyms, have you noticed a huge influx?
I go at like 5 a.m, so it's the true few.
Okay. Emilia and I go later in the evening, so like 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 if we're really late. But it's packed because it's summer. New England, summer's coming, so everybody's getting after it. Then remember, summer creates necessity. If you have a wedding in 2 months, you're not going to eat the Ben & Jerry's. You're just not. Why? Because the pain of looking bad in your wedding dresser is higher than the pain of not eating the Ben & Jerry's now. Kevin and I were in the studio earlier, and the reason why we're talking about this episode is because I asked him, how aligned with your highest self have you been lately? And we did it from a bunch of different time frames. The first one is in the last quarter. In other words, the last 3 months. How in alignment from 0 to 10 have you been with your highest self? You said 8.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, what about the latest month? And he sat there and he thought about it. I said, ask your intuition. He said 7. I said, okay, what about the last week? And I think you said 7, and then I challenged you. Was it more or less than the month? Because you can't have 2 7s. And then we went 6.9 because you're like, it was a little bit less than the month. And I said, okay, what about the weekend? Just the weekend. And you said 6.8. So basically, you've been living a little bit less and less and less in alignment with your highest self. And that's part of why we're doing this episode, because we recognized it. And I'm guilty of that too. I told Emilia a couple nights ago and Kevin on Thursday, lately I've been kind of living at an 8.5. And honestly, 8.5 is more than enough to kind of get by. But am I maximizing my potential? Am I growing as much as I could? Am I contributing as much as I could? Am I fully in alignment? And at the end of the day, just remember that the standards that you set for yourself, no one else can police those. You know, when your head hits the pillow at night, you're either going to be proud of who you are and how you showed up today or not. And we've all been both. The question is how much and how often.
And you always have that opportunity. You always have that. Well, I'll speak for myself. I always have that opportunity of thought process. I'm doing this. Like right now, I'm on my laptop. I'm doing work. I'm going to be done in like an hour.
Right.
I'm going to be done with my system in like an hour. Right. I have a to-do list of many things I could do. There's always the 25 Jeffings, a list that we have of all the places that we need to make progress in the business, and it's way more than 25, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah?
So there's always something to do. But it's that thought of like, okay, I'm done. What do I do now? A couple things can happen. You say like, okay, I'm going to hammer off the to-do list. When I feel the most aligned, it's when I'm making the most progress in health, wealth, and love. Yeah. Simply put.
Same.
And you know, the podcast, the business, my relationship, my fitness endeavors, all of that happy jazz.
All of those are health, wealth, and love.
Yeah. So, but would the best version of Kevin go play PS4 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when he has a bunch of other things that he could do that might feel difficult in the moment, but be best for Kevin's everything? And I think that's an important distinction. But you also have to know yourself. Right? That's the same thing of like last night, Tara and I went to bed at like 11:30, and actually no, 10 or 10:30, and I couldn't fall asleep because I slept in the day before, which I very rarely do.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just going to go lay on the couch, babe. I'm tossing and turning. I don't want you to stay up. And it was like 11:15 when I got to sleep, and I was like, I'm not going to get up at 4. Like that's going to Jeff me.
Yeah, well, that's not aligned.
Right. So, but it's understanding that there's both ends.
Yeah.
Like there's
exactly.
And people only mostly talk about the other end of like being not lazy, but not doing the stuff that you should. Sometimes that includes making sure your cup is full.
For sure. And I think that's a beautiful distinction because there is such thing as working
too hard.
It's too hard it's like Goldilocks. What was it? The porridge is too hot, too cold.
Just right.
And then it's just right. That's kind of our point. We call it a drive to 5. So imagine a pyramid. And there's a true north at the top of it. Your goal is to stay as centered as possible on your way. And so, for example, there are people out there right now who I guarantee you need to discipline themselves to take some R&R. Okay, I've been on that end. But there are also people that are playing PS4 all day, every day, and they need to discipline themselves to do some work. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach to anything. And that's why, Kevin and I want you to talk about, or want you to ask this question. What would the best version of me do? And only you can answer it. That's the thing. If Kevin asks, let's say you and I are in the same situation. Let's say it's Sunday, and we have the whole day to ourselves, okay? You ask yourself, what would the best version of Kevin do? You're going to have a completely different answer than I will.
Right.
My answer will be what I did yesterday, which is honestly deny the gratification, stay in the studio, and work, set up long-term strategic opportunities. That's what felt aligned for me, and that's why it's interesting because Kevin and I don't really tell each other what to do.
No, we don't at all.
Right, and the bottleneck of our business and our mission is whether or not you and I are in alignment with our highest self. Genuinely. Maybe you need more R&R than I do. Maybe you want more R&R than I do.
Most likely.
Right. And that's totally fine. I don't want anyone to think that they need to be different than who they are. What they need to do is ask themselves that question and then make choices congruent with that.
Good distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, Group 3 for group coaching has just opened up. We got an amazing review from Janine the other day talking about how important it is to be in a community, how important it is to actually track your habits and figure out where you're going right, where you're going wrong. If you want the next, well, it won't be the next 90 days. We're starting on May 7th.
May 7th.
If you want the following 90 days after that to be the most productive, the most fulfilled, the most connected time in your life, go to nextleveluniverse.com. You'll see the group coaching tab. And again, our main goal is to help you get to the next level of life, love, health, and wealth, but also community. That's the love part of it. There's an amazing community of people that you're going to be doing this with. Everybody loves you. They support you. People are in that WhatsApp chat every day, plus Alan and I are too.
And we also added an assistant coach feature. So Jenna on the NLU team will be the assistant coach of Group 2, which is Gratitude with Attitude. Brandon is the assistant coach of Group 1, which is Ambitious Army. And so you'll not only have Kevin and I, but you'll also have an assistant coach who's already been through this process. Remember a time when you were achieving a goal and it was really hard to stay on track because of your associations, the people around you. Imagine that, but the opposite. These people will support your goals and your habits, not the other way around. We've all been on a fitness journey and wanted to eat a certain thing and then got kind of off track by what was cooked and stuff. Imagine that, but the opposite. Also, Kevin and I want to come and inspire your communities. So whether it's a school, college, organization, nonprofit, we are going to create a custom questionnaire, send it to your attendees. It can be a company, again, charity. Send us a DM. DM Kevin or myself and just say, hey, I would love to opt in to the one free virtual speech. We are giving a virtual speech to each listener of this show. Only one. The first one's free, but we want to come and inspire your community. Reach out anytime, and we will talk to you then.
And if you are looking for examples, we have them that we repurpose sometimes as podcast episodes, but also every Monday we do our Meetup Monday live in Next Level Nation. That's a good idea of especially the energy that we bring. For sure.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Meetup Monday, next episode that you're going to hear tomorrow is last week's How Committed Are You Really?
Yes.
Where we talk about the commitment that it will take, whether that's your health, your wealth, your life, your love, your dreams, your goals, all that stuff. It's a tough sentence. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Mm-hmm. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you had a great weekend. We hope you have a great Monday. And as always, we don't have fans. We have family. Talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.